Hey y'all, welcome to Joffrey the Giant. I'm Joffrey Swait, and I have been breathing smoke in for the last month and a half. Welcome to the Pacific Northwest, right? Firefighters and friends have been out there doing what they do, fighting fires, and nonetheless, the sky until this week, gray with smoke. The city covered in smoke constantly, and me with a constant cough because my fragile little non-Northwestern throat can't handle all of this. Now, firefighters in the area are talking about quitting because of vaccine mandates. So before we get into the meat of this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, click on that bell, and if you enjoy this variety channel where I talk about the stuff that interests me, if the stuff that interests me interests you, join the Discord as well. You'll find a link below. Okay. First, a story from Sacramento, and then two stories from Washington. I'm up in the panhandle of Idaho. I'm a 10-minute drive from the border with eastern Washington and pretty near Spokane. But here's the story from the Sacramento Bee. Firefighters oppose COVID vaccine mandate for Sacramento city workers. 45% haven't gotten the jab. First of all, just an offhand comment. Who are the manliest city workers you know? Whatever city you're in. Of course it's the firefighters. I'm just going to say that, of course, the manliest workers are going to be the ones that have the most objection. Still, only half haven't gotten the vaccine. And just so you guys know, this video and I strongly against vaccine mandates, but not against vaccines. My children have most of the standard vaccines. Although part of the reason we're not vaccinated is the untested nature of these vaccines. And the truth is, I'm willing to get vaccinated if the right circumstances arise. The reason we're not vaccinated is because the government told us to. That's it. Now, if this thing had a 50% mortality rate, say, and the government told us to, I would ignore the government. I would just get the vaccine for myself and for my children. To get the vaccine, whether the government commanded it or not. With the mortality rate the way it is, I'm also going to ignore the government. They told us to get the vaccine. They don't have the right to do that. That's a whole other... and I say tell, right? They obviously haven't commanded us to. They haven't sent the police to the door. But they've paternalistically told us to, right? Like your college professor who knows better than you, right? Like some sort of authority figure who knows better than we do. And the very fact that that there is this allowance, look how I'm personalizing things, that there is this allowance for the hoi polloi, for the dirty masses to take their time. We have to convince them. It's all done in such condescending, paternalistic fashion. That's really why. It's not my objection to vaccines per se. Anyway, let's get to this story. Firefighters oppose COVID vaccine mandate for Sacramento city workers, and half of them almost haven't gotten the job. And it's interesting because both these stories are going to involve the unions. One of the largest labor unions in the city of Sacramento has stated its opposition to a vaccination mandate of all city employees. Let me zoom back out. This is not giving me the option to scroll to the side. Okay. So they sent a letter in to the mayor. And the president of the local 522, which is there in the second paragraph, did not stop there. Doctors, nurses, firefighters, police officers, correctional officers, and other essential workers have been on the front lines with COVID from the beginning. The same thing has been happening with medical staff, right? And a lot of medical staff refusing to get vaccinated or fighting back against vaccine mandates. These professionals have learned through research and experience the risks of COVID-19. They have educated themselves. So, this letter is a shot across the bow of the government of the city of Sacramento. Right? They are daring to resist. All right. Steinberg, a government official, responds saying one person's personal freedom is not unlimited, especially where it collides directly with the need to protect the community against a contagious and dangerous disease. Again, the flexibility that's allowed in the rhetoric, right? Because they can immediately go to the "don't you care about old people?" And we can immediately go to, "do you want people to lose their jobs?" But, so there's all this flexibility and all this, you can go to all sorts of extremes in the rhetoric easily and quickly. You have to stand on principle. And the principle is freedom. The Sacramento area firefighters, here toward the end, is unwavering in our belief that our membership must retain the ability of personal choice. My body, my choice. We will aggressively fight against any attempt to take away each of our members' individual rights to choose. Oh, the right to choose. I love it. Okay. This is in my area. This is in Spokane. Firefighters across the area potentially quitting over vaccine mandate. And I'm going to play this clip for you guys.
Washington mandate for vaccinations could lead to a mass exodus in one local fire department.
Firefighters are considered healthcare workers, but some of them say they'd rather not work than get the vaccine. Rania Kaur spoke to a local firefighters union. Rania.
About 15 firefighters here in Spokane Valley are willing to lose their jobs, according to a local firefighters union, a problem they're trying to solve right now. Of the 170 firefighters in the Spokane Valley Firefighters Union, 60 have not yet turned in a vaccination card or filed an exemption. Of those 60, 30 to 40 say they won't get the vaccine. The union says 10 to 15 have already said they'd rather quit than get the vaccine. With only 39 personnel daily, losing 15 or even more firefighters is a big hit.
There's so few resources out there. If we start even further reducing that going into next year, there's a lot of fires where we're probably going to be hands off until we get enough people on scene and actually enter that into that hazardous environment and try to make a positive impact on that fire.
Replacing firefighters isn't an easy task because new firefighters need a year of probation after training.
Not to be cliche, but that's growing pains, right? That's a lot of hand holding, a lot of training, and it takes. Not that we don't mind it, but it takes away from daily activities like running calls and doing that other priority stuff.
Which is why, as a union, they're trying to determine what they can do to prevent that.
We got members trying to figure out if this does happen, where that next paycheck's going to come for. We're talking about, kids in school. We're talking about families trying to put food on the table, mortgages, and all that stuff. And it's not for me to decide what they need to do. They're going to make their choice based off their belief system.
Pitchout tells me they have requested the governor's office to allow them routine COVID testing as another option, something they believe is a good middle ground. The governor has said on several occasions you can't test your way out of the mandate.
That's got to be my absolute favorite part of this. The governor of Washington saying you can't test your way out of the mandate. You can't test your way around the mandate. This is something people are trying to do, and Jay Inslee isn't gonna let them. Everyone, if we're gonna make one person submit to the mandate, we're gonna make everyone submit to the mandate. You aren't special. You don't get to decide for yourself and for your family. you're like everybody else. And I'm not going to read the story. This is basically a restatement of what's in the video. Now, of course, this sort of resistance is coming out of Eastern Washington. Western Washington, the Seattle area, you all know what that's like. And this, as I said, is my area. Like, if you look over here at the very top of the screen, it says Spokane, Coeur d'Alene. So we're just a little over an hour south of there, right? That's one kind of metro area, and we're just south of there. And as I said, our world was covered in smoke. And this map looked a lot worse just a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, not every urban fire department is going to be facing things like this, but that was Spokane Valley. So this situation is a situation that is being impacted or could be impacted by irresponsible vaccine mandates. These men are standing on principle. For some of them, the principle might simply be, I'm not going to put something untested in my body, my choice. For others, the principle will be, like for me, the government can't tell us to do this. And the way this is projected by most of the media, the way this is presented is, this is ignorance and this is fear. We need to make people less afraid of the vaccines. That's not it. A stand on principle is being taken. I really liked the rhetoric of that union chief that they interviewed. I don't know what his opinion is, but he is certainly representing the members of his union on principle. That's what it's about. So I hope these men stand by it. And if they get fired, they get fired. I put a video out a while ago on Facebook. It was only on Facebook. Telling the police of Moscow, Idaho, as they were arresting people for not wearing masks, the Christians among them needed to quit. I had an authority figure in the local religious circles write to me, urging me to take the video down. No. I believe that. And what those people need is solidarity. Of course, not a single Moscow police officer did that. But if it comes to the point where people are quitting, and people are quitting en masse, and people who have gotten the jab are quitting in solidarity with their brothers who are taking a principled stand, then the government will have to back down. I mean, it's the same principle that goes into Christian resistance of any sort, right? You let the weirdos with a different theology from you take the hit, get arrested, whatever country it is, including this one, or in Canada. All this Canadian pastors being arrested and those churches being shut down. That was easy for the Canadian government to do because 99% of pastors complied with their illegal and immoral order. And that left the few who were faithful exposed, unprotected. Make them arrest 1,000 pastors. Make them fire 1,000 firefighters. And when they do that, let every other firefighter walk out. And don't come to me with this nonsense about other essential workers. There are certain people who can't ever be allowed to quit. If they can't ever be allowed to quit because they're that important, accede to their demands. The last story I want to point out. Washington sheriff contracts COVID-19, still plans to fight the mandates. He's 72 years old. Sheriff Bob Songer, Southwest Washington. He had a 5-day hospital stint and is back on oxygen. But the thing I want to point out here is that the headline makes him seem crazy. He gets COVID-19, still plans to fight mandates. Why am I sharing this? Because it's principle. And none of the people who are trying to run over those of us who object to the vaccine mandates think it's principle. The only thing that would motivate them would be fear, so they think we're motivated by fear. So, kudos to Sheriff Songer, and kudos to him sticking to his guns as far as principle goes. There's one more thing I want to mention since I was on this site, KXLY, and we'll close with this. Remember in 2020 how we skipped one of the horsemen of the apocalypse that were coming for us? Well, they're back. A nest of murder hornets has been found. The peace of Christ be upon you.
Aí sim é um homem de verdade, não é esses troços do grupo não, essas carcaças velhas, uó, fim de carreira.
Cadê você, profeta, autarquia? Hein? Pedrada no inferno, fala comigo aí, matador de demônio. Hein?